In all the excitement over Elon Musk, and I totally understand the excitement, and he's a great media figure. He is an economic icon. He started company after company after company. He seems to have that Midas touch. And he is an odd dude. He's not a good man. He's an effective man. A good man don't do what he does, going out and starting, lives and then running away from them as a runaway father. That's not the actions of a good man. But he's a brilliant man. He's also a guy who's happy to use taxpayer funds to enrich himself. He's done that with Tesla, and I'm convinced he hasn't paid us back on that yet. But he's garnering a lot of attention, and President Trump has made the decision to have Elon aside him in the Oval Office. And this is smart from a comms perspective, but it also saddens me in a way because we are watching, I think, the most brilliant vice president we've ever had. And I don't know that JD Vance is seeking to have the intention on him. That would go to who he is. JD Vance is a Catholic. He's a Christian. And JD Vance then, as a Christian, is a man who may well have actual humility, which is fascinating given the things that he's done in life. His life story is one of the best we've ever had as a vice president, coming out of poverty in Appalachia with a mother who became addicted to pharmaceuticals, and pharmaceutical companies love Appalachia. It's some of the most addicted places in the world is in Appalachia. And it's not just pharmaceuticals. This is a bizarre thing. If you've ever been to Appalachia, you'll never see more Mountain Dew trucks in the world. And people self-medicate with that as well. It's really, really bizarre. I didn't know that until I was there with a friend of mine who took me on a tour. And JD Vance rose out of that and became a venture capitalist and an author and a guy who has been given a real gift of an intellect. What I love about what JD Vance is doing is, as an active vice president, he's being asked to construct a deal to allow TikTok to remain in the United States because he understands full stack tech as a venture capitalist. And he thinks there's a way to do this so that the Chinese Communist Party is not getting a bunch of our data. Now, by point of fact, I'm not convinced that I want Facebook to have all our data. I don't know that I trust Facebook any more than I trust the Chinese Communist Party, or for that matter, YouTube, which continues to take orders from the World Health Organization and continues to ban videos such as Katie Hopkins, who went down to South Africa for a bunch of weeks to see the actual genocide against white farmers. But nonetheless, JD Vance has been asked to do that, and he's a brilliant man capable of doing it. He's also a guy who has taken with one single phrase something we can apply to almost every single Mockingbird media member who attempts to deconstruct the Trump administration. It was that beautiful, beautiful phrase where he broke character. And I'm going to call this the phrase of the decade politically. And that was when he said to Martha Raddatz, "Do you hear yourself?" I think I watched a man sit there in true astonishment as Martha Raddatz began saying, "No, Senator, I'm going to stop you there. I know exactly what's going on. This is in a small number of apartment buildings, and the chief of police has said it's small and contained, and it's just a small problem." And JD Vance started to respond with a talking point. "Well, Martha, I think what's important," then he stopped. He goes, "Wait, Martha, do you hear yourself?" And for a moment, he actually, I believe, had human concern for her. It's very much like sitting with a loved one who says something of this nature. "Look, I know the alcohol is bad for me, but it makes me feel better. I know it's destroying me, but it makes me feel better." And you can listen to that and start to respond with, "Well, look, I know that you're in a lot of pain, but you're also just as likely to say, wait, do you hear yourself? You're admitting this stuff is killing you, and you're saying it makes you feel better. Speeding up the process of dying by giving yourself type 2 diabetes is not making you feel better. Alcohol is not lifting your mood. It's a depressant, not an antidepressant." And JD Vance, coming as he does from this background of a woman, his mother, who became poisoned by pharmaceuticals, has probably said from time to time to his own mother as a little boy, "Mom, do you hear yourself?" And man, I get it. Addictions are potent things. When I weighed a whole bunch of weight, I wasn't quite up to 400 pounds at that time. I worked with a lady who was morbidly obese, sweet lady, brilliant lady. And she told me, I can't lose weight. It's impossible. It can't be done. I've tried everything. And I would sit there and watch her eat. And look, I was fat at the time, but I kind of knew what I was doing to be fat. I just wasn't ready to change. I would sit there and watch her eat sandwiches that were the size of 2 footballs. And all that bread, etc. And I knew that at the time, and soda pops and all, but nothing could be done. Look, something can nearly always be done. And there's very, very simple things you could do right now to maximize whatever body you have. Exercise is key, a lot of water, protein at the center of your meals, but most of us need help. Here's my suggestion with my friends at Bioptimizers. These guys have been in the business for multiple decades. And they're successful as a supplements company because they make their own stuff. They've got their own lab. They don't private label junk and then put their name on it. They are the first test cases for everything they have. That's how they can have a range of products like Mushroom Breakthrough, which is a cognitive breakthrough. This helps people remember things with rapid recall in your mind. If you find your mind slowing down, they tested their brains with image scanning and found that they were slowing down. After trying their product, their brains changed. I've showed the scans on the show, and we'll do it again with Wade. Your brain can change too. Mine does. Mushroom Breakthrough. You could try this on your own. Go get 6 forms of these mushrooms and eat 18 pounds of them every day, and maybe you get the same results. But you're not going to do that. So this is so potent. That's one example. Another example is they're famous for Magnesium Breakthrough. Of course they are. The product has been stellar in helping people with regularity and controlling stress and helping people sleep through the night in a relaxed state. And it's not melatonin. It doesn't knock you out. It encourages natural sleep. I stand by this. I take it wherever I go. When I travel, I take it. And the product Masszymes. If you're trying to maintain muscle or grow muscle, how about getting about 1,600 to 2,000 times more amino acids in your body than you would without Masszymes? A side-by-side test showed that that's a result of people who take Masszymes like I do. My suggestion, go to bioptimizers.com/Todd, shop their product base, subscribe to the things you need because you're different from me. Know that you'll never run out of product when you subscribe. You get a 10% discount. You'll get free gifts as a subscriber, free discounts, extra discounts, and free information packs that they send because at heart, they're teachers. It's bioptimizers.com/Todd, promo code Todd. So don't be addicted to bad health. Get free from that. Bioptimizers.com/Todd, promo code Todd. So JD Vance, I think, is our most brilliant vice president who's willing to travel the world building his portfolio. I think that he's on a process of coming back and being the single most qualified vice presidential candidate we've ever had to be president because he knows President Trump has one term. And if you look and watch at what the media does around this guy, it is phenomenal. This is from PBS, the reliably panicked Jonathan Capehart, who walks around panicked of anything that's not Democrat, and the reliably fake conservative, David Brooks. And they're talking here about JD Vance, and they're mourning, well, not JD Vance, but the Trump administration. Then they mention Ivy League nihilism. Now listen to this and watch this.
Can I just get both of you to briefly weigh in on this? Because we're nearing 1 month into the Trump presidency. Is it clear to you where the guardrails are, Jonathan?
No. In a perfect world, Republicans on the Hill would be the guardrails. They would do things like, I don't know, maybe not approve some of these unqualified people to the cabinet, but they haven't done it. And in the case of Speaker Johnson, he's not a guardrail, he's an enabler. He's a true believer. And so without that resistance from one of the branches of government, the executive is, I think, running roughshod.
David, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think the courts will stand up. Even the Trump appointees, they have very firm opinions about executive power. They believe in the independent judiciary. They believe in that we have 3 branches of government. I think that those guardrails will be there. What I object to is Donald Trump was elected mostly by working class people who have real problems. They have health disparities with the rest of us. They have educational disparities. They have workplace. They live in communities where the social capital is low. Donald Trump was elected by those people. You'd think he'd care enough about them to do something on behalf of the people who elected him. Instead, he's going after, USAID. He's going after any place he thinks there might be liberal people with college degrees. And so what we're seeing is not populism. What we're seeing is a sort of Ivy League right-wing nihilism. And to me, that is so disorienting and so shocking and so appalling that you can't even serve the legitimate needs of the people who put you in power.
Right-wing nihilism. JD Vance goes around the world in defense of free speech, and he calls out dictatorial countries and the European Union, and it's not serving the interests of the American people who elected President Trump. We were lied into a war in Ukraine that we were on the precipice of boots on the ground. Keir Starmer, the dictator of the UK, just recently said he's considering boots on the ground. We were lied into that position. We've been paying the American taxpayers' money, these guys that David Brooks is pretending to care about, who come from areas with low social capital, whatever the hell that means. Low social capital. David, real people don't talk about social capital. People who do a green screen shot in front of the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge from the Mount Tamalpais side do that. There's no sitting there. Just so everybody knows, but that's the shot behind this guy. If you're looking at this, that you have to be. He's sitting up in the air. I mean, it's a green screen. It's not even a good one. We don't talk about social capital. We talk about having friends. The American taxpayer being fleeced to pay for so-called independent media in Ukraine that's actually lying about Ukrainian men being seized, beaten, and forced into the front lines in conscription. We have videos of it happening. And you've paid $450 million taxpayer dollars to hide that and to lie about it. It serves the interests of the people who elected President Trump to not get our country into a position where we're on the precipice of war in the Ukraine with our boots on the ground. JD Vance is out talking about free speech and defending free speech and saying to Europe, if you're going to be on the side of censorship, we're not going to have a lot to be able to help you with. We're not going to be able to be a very good ally because you are destroying your own countries by fearing the people who elected you. Our most brilliant vice president called out the fact that the European Union themselves wanted to deplatform candidate Trump.
The leader, I forget exactly which official it was within the European Union, but sent Elon this threatening letter that basically said, we're going to arrest you if you platform Donald Trump, who, by the way, is the likely next president of the United States. So what America should be saying is, if NATO wants us to continue supporting them, and NATO wants us to continue to be a good participant in this military alliance, why don't you respect American values and respect free speech? It's insane that we would support a military alliance if that military alliance isn't going to be pro-free speech. I think we can do both, but we've got to say American power comes with certain strings attached. One of those is respect free speech, especially in our European allies. Like, look, I'm not going to go to some backwoods country and tell them how to live their lives, but European countries should theoretically share American values, especially about some very basic things like free speech.
Well, and we're funding their defense. We've got hundreds of thousands of troops over there funding their defense, not just with their money, but with their potential lives, and sometimes with their lives. Such as the war we've been fighting in Syria that we don't talk about. I love that JD Vance makes these statements. I love that he's building his portfolio. And I obviously do not want President Trump to be assassinated. They already took 2 shots at him, and I think they were allowed to take those shots. Personally, I do not believe for 2 seconds that the Secret Service forgot how to secure the high ground. Oh, we forgot that. That's right. You're supposed to do that. So President Trump, this is so Trumpian. He's left instructions if Iran him.
It's Iran and their proxies who have threatened to retaliate against you and your team by you guys for taking out Soleimani.
Well, they haven't done that, and that would be a terrible thing for them to do, not because of me. If they did that, they would be obliterated. That'd be the end. I've left instructions. If they do it, they get obliterated. There won't be anything left. And they shouldn't be able to do it. And Biden should have said that, but he never did. I don't know why. Lack of intelligence, perhaps.
Lack of intelligence or pure evil. JD Vance is building a portfolio under the shadow of Elon Musk. And I think this is an interesting dynamic and perhaps a potent dynamic. The left cannot seem to put a bead of hatred on President Trump. And how could they? In that there are people so driven to hate him that in some cases it's become an illness with people. That you have journalists now who stand against free speech because President Trump is pro-free speech. Hey, if he's in favor of it, we're against it. You have people who are standing now in defense of fast food because RFK Jr. is criticizing it. You now have people on the left going, you pry the Carl's Jr. from my cold, dead hands. They can't put this bead of hatred on President Trump because they've done everything, and everyone who's going to hate him does. There's nothing they can do to make more people hate him. Elon Musk, they can spread the hate, but that really just dilutes the hatred for President Trump because now people have to hate two people. And in the background of this, there's JD Vance, who's making agreements, who's working on the TikTok deal, who's working on free speech, who's overseeing much of the border work, and who is building an international portfolio of seriousness in defense of something that is going to turn out to be, as we dig into USAID and the money that they gave media and the media that they propped up that's really just CIA front media, when the full story comes out, I think the evident hero of this will be the guy who was calling out the alarm around the world about free speech, speaking to the faces of the dictators of the European Union. I think JD Vance staying in the shadows in this way is brilliant because when it's time for him to come out of the shadows, he'll be doing what God does as a servant of God. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He's defending the Word.